guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I have the entertaining story for you. You are definitely getting your money's worth today. Today I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber, or at least a viewer, a female viewer, who's 33, and her life is not exactly where she wants it to be right now. And she's writing in, asking for my help on a big decision of what to do. But here's the interesting thing here. When she found my channel, she thought I was, wait for it, toxic. That the channel was toxic masculinity. You get the point. In spite of that, here she is asking for my help, the so-called toxic guy, about a situation she messed up years ago when she completely ruined her relationship with the who she thinks now is basically the love of her life. Yeah, from the toxic guy. So I'm going to go through her story here, guys, and you may be thinking, SSM, why are you giving her the time of day? Well, number one, you guys will find this very entertaining. And two, to show you from the woman's side of these whole things. And three, to show you they always come back. I tell you all the time, well, fine print here. If their lives aren't going well, they always come back. And they'll look back and say, who was the one that got away, or who was the one I pushed away? Maybe because he was such a nice guy, he'll give me another chance. If my life was happy, I wouldn't be reaching out to him, but my life is crap, so I'm going to go for that guy. And you're going to see it in this story. So it starts off, she says, Dear SSM, I'm a lurker on your channel. The fact is, I'm a woman, and my initial reaction to some of your videos was, it was toxic masculinity. You found my channel, you thought I was toxic, you thought the content of my channel was toxic, and yet here you are asking for advice from the toxic guy. And yet my channel covers stories about women just like you, who does things to guys just like you did, and I'm toxic? Really? Well, I'll come back to that later. However, I think it's needed to balance my ultimate decision, as you'll see. The truth is, I have so much regret. I've come to understand something, and that is, good men are often changed, for better or worse, because of the selfish actions of women. That is absolutely true. A lot of guys out there that are bad boys or a-holes, they were once nicer guys, if you will, and they were burned really bad. Yes, I betrayed a good man, and the guilt still eats at me. Does the guilt eat at you because you feel bad about betraying him, or does it eat at you because you are in a place in your life right now that you don't want to be, and, right? Is that which one is it? I don't quite know why I'm compelled to write this, but my hope is I can gain some redemption and perhaps answer a question that still plagues me. My story began 7 years ago. I was a 26-year-old barista at a Starbucks inside a Barnes & Noble. At that point in my life, I was going nowhere, but I promised myself I didn't need a man to get ahead. Where have we heard that before? Yet men continued to show interest in me, and I got caught up in the game. I found it easy to get them to do what I wanted just by spending time with them, or just even talking to them. Yet none of these men had the qualities I was looking for. Looking back, I wish I'd taken the initiative to improve myself instead of riding the coattails of others. Translation, you were 26 years old, you were in your prime, I'm sure you were above average looks, so it was not very hard to get guys to have interest in you, for obvious reasons. And even though you weren't, as you said, weren't going anywhere in life, and you're working as a barista, now if you're working as a barista, guys, that's your business, but a lot of times if you were doing that as a job to then move up somewhere else in the world, okay. But it didn't sound like you had a whole lot to offer, aside from your looks and body, and yet you thought you were the fucking queen. Did I pretty much sum that up right? It was then I met someone special. He wasn't really my type. He was short, and he dressed conservatively, while I was drawn to tall men with a more hip-hop sense of style. But there was something about him. He had very kind eyes, and when we spoke, his smile was infectious. Our interaction was brief. He bought a latte and then seated himself to read a book. I decided to investigate. I walked over a few times to wipe tables and noticed he was reading books on the LSATs. I didn't know what that was, and even though we exchanged glances, neither of us said anything. LSAT is the test you take, the exam to get a certain score to determine what law school you can get into. The higher your LSAT score, the more likelihood you can get accepted into top-tier law schools. I think she knew what that was. She's like, ooh, a future lawyer here. Cha-ching. I intended to make another pass, but he got up and left. On my break, I was curious what LSAT meant, so I checked my phone. It stands for Law School Admissions Test. I was bummed. Why were you bummed? Because you missed the opportunity with a guy who's going somewhere in life. But why aren't you going somewhere in life? I thought all those female empowerment chicks are going to lose their minds. You shouldn't be trying to get a guy to move you forward in the world. You should be doing that yourself. But as fate would have it, we would meet again. About a week later, I noticed him in line. He ordered the same drink as before and sat down to read. This time I walked over and asked him what he was reading. He introduced himself as James and then explained that he was studying for the LSAT. We talked for a bit, but I had to go, so I suggested we get together so he could tell me more. He agreed, and we exchanged numbers. So, here's an example, guys. There's many examples in this story. We can learn from this shit. Guess what? Girl's interested in you for whatever reason. She's going to orbit around you. She's going to come near you, find excuses to chit-chat with you. You think she really gives a fuck about the LSAT book? No. What she cares about is that LSAT means law school. Law school means lawyer. Lawyer means perceived big income, better life for her. That's what we're talking about here. And she's 26 years old. 30 is not that far away. She's not going anywhere in life, so she needs to find that guy. She mentioned before she used to like guys that were tall, hip-hop type of dress, whatever. A different type of guy. But now she's in the settle mode, so she's finding a guy who's shorter, doesn't dress the way she... you get the point. What I tell you guys, this is why be careful, you guys, that normally wouldn't get certain type of girls, because when they start getting close to that 30, they're going to be on the prowl for finding guys that can provide. Right here. So as the days passed, James never called me. I kept waiting and hoping, but he never did. The nerve of him! I even asked my girlfriends if I should call him, but they said absolutely not. So I waited some more. Finally, he called. We talked the entire night, and I never felt so sure about anyone. Please. The fact that he didn't call and made you unsure only made you more sure when he did call, because he gave you the butterflies and the tingles and uncertainty. Plus, every other guy probably called you immediately, but this guy was different. And, it doesn't hurt that he's going to law school and lawyer, and he can move you out of being a barista and something that with a higher income. James invited me for coffee, and our first day was great. Well, good for James for not taking you out some expensive dinner. We met at a small cafe and talked about our lives. I told James I wanted to become a photographer because I was always fascinated with fashion shoots. Meanwhile, James attended graduate school and was studying to get into law school. I didn't understand many of the things he talked about, but the conviction in his voice had me swooning. Okay, she could hear he was a determined guy. She found that attractive. That I can believe. Over the course of several weeks, we continued meeting, and I was surprised when James asked if we could be exclusive. I was so happy, since I had a really good feeling about him. A good feeling about his earning potential. For the first time, I felt like I was falling in love. No, you weren't. And when I gave myself to him, he was so considerate as a lover. Of course he was. Although, a lot of guys that, when women describe as considerate as a lover, that means that guy's tongue is going into overdrive. A lot of guys like that. So it's not necessarily them being considered as a lover. They're doing what turns them on. But if you're happy and he's happy, so be it. Our time together was always fun. We went on a lot of dates, took long walks, or just watched a movie at home. I would even help him study sometimes. He would have me check the answers to logical reasoning questions or help with comprehension skills. But the more time we spent together, the more I found myself changing. I was never a needy person, yet suddenly I wanted him to pamper me all the time. So, many of you guys that have or had girlfriends will know that if she's really into you, yeah, she won't leave you alone. And that's not a bad thing if she's so into you that she wants to be touching you all the time and spending all the time with you. But when you're a young man on your grind, on your purpose, and this guy here studying for the LSATs to get a good score, to get into law school he wants, all that time with her needing you can get in the way. This is why as young men, I got no problem you get some experience with the ladies, if they are ladies. But you got to make your priorities. Your priority is your purpose, what you're trying to achieve. What you do in your 20s really sets the course for your life. With wanting him to pamper me all the time, this may have led to his inability to test well. At his LSAT exam, he scored a 155, which wasn't good enough to get into the school he wanted. So he canceled the test. Needless to say, he took it pretty hard. Well, that's on that. It's unfortunate he can get the score he wanted, but he can take it again. But I do believe they then average the scores together. I had a girlfriend back in the day who was going through the same fucking thing, done law school and all that, and I had a lot of friends I met through her through law school. I know a lot of lawyers. Some people can at ease take the LSAT and do well. Other people work really hard at it. You never know. But the point is, his study time was spent with her. So that messed up the score he wanted. 3 years into our relationship, things began to stagnate. James had graduated, but didn't make an effort to retake the LSAT, and he was still at his old job, which didn't pay a lot. We were doing all the same things before, and it got stale. I thought by now our relationship would reach a new level, but James was content with how things were, so I began to mentally check out. Okay, here we go. So what's really going on here? Suddenly he's not that... maybe he was greatly discouraged because he got that score he didn't want, or maybe he felt comfortable where he was with her. He lost his drive and ambition to make something, go to law school like he wanted because he was happy with his girlfriend. And guess what? She was turned off. Now, an ambitious guy is attracted to many women, but also the fact that, let's focus on the fact that, she got in this relationship and pursued him on the basis that he was going somewhere in life. Lawyer. Give her that lawyer, help with that lawyer income, that type of thing. She can become Mrs. Lawyer. Not anymore. So all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm not so attracted to him anymore. And said things got stale. All relationships, after a while, the honeymoon stage and everything like that, aren't as exciting as they were in the beginning. In the beginning, there's the butterflies and the tingles and getting to know the guy and peeling back the onion on who he is. But here's the thing. When you get to that point where, yes, things aren't as exciting, but you have the good stuff, with the right person. But a lot of women that get on that high of the tingles, they get bored. So they got to go chase the tingle someplace else. And fuck up a good thing. On a random girls' night out, I met a guy named Barry. Oh, what'd I tell you about girls' nights out, guys? He was very charming and checked all the boxes. Tall, handsome, cool with a nice car. Although I didn't tell him I had a boyfriend, Barry was cool with it, and although I did tell him I have a boyfriend, Barry was cool with it and said we could still stay in contact. Of course Barry said that. Barry's a Chad. Chads like to bang guys' girlfriends. So I gave him my phone number, and I didn't mention it to James. I know it was a bad move, but it is what it is. Why did she give him the number? Because she's done with James. But instead of breaking up with James and saying, okay, whatever reason, no, she's going to stay with James and then get things rolling with the next guy, the Monkey Branch 2. There we go. She's a scumbag cheater. The truth is, I found myself less and less interested in what James was doing. Then why didn't you break up with him? I was so into Barry that my mind was thinking of him all the time. I would text him how I was feeling, and he would tell me I deserved so much better. And so I began to believe I did deserve better. What makes you think you deserve better? That you're in your 20s, and you're a piece of ass, and you got a body and a pretty face? That's great and all, but that's in time, that's going to fade. Your looks are going to fade. Your boobs are going to sag. You're going to get wrinkles in different parts of your body. Your butt, your nice ass is going to not look so nice. It's going to sag. Your pussy hair is going to turn gray. Your other hair is going to turn gray. You got to go to the salon to get it dyed all the time. If your only card to play is your looks and body, I got news for you, honey, and all the honeys out there that watch this that hate my guts. You're in shit out of luck. Your personality is you're a user. You're a gold digger. You're only with the other guy for what he could bring to the table. And after that, but you're after the new guy who's charming and good looking. And okay, you respond to charming and good looking guys, but that you're a cheater. This is what happens, guys. I'm reading you the other side of the other side here to see what's going on in the mind, the head. Barry and I began meeting, and before long, we became intimate. There's a fucking surprise. That's What do you think was going to happen? I'm not proud of it, but I was in a fog, unable to discern right from wrong. Bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You knew what was wrong. You just didn't care. Don't come here telling me you couldn't tell right from wrong. Don't give me a fucking break. You're in your late 20s. You know darn well what you're doing is wrong. I only wanted what I wanted, and that was Barry because he made me feel special. Well, that's how Chad and Tyrone roll until Chad and Tyrone has had his you-know-what in all your orifices, and then he's done with you. Contrary to what many believe, there's always guilt. I felt guilty at the same time I felt excitement. Well, you just said you couldn't tell from right from wrong, so now you're telling me you felt guilty. Then obviously you knew it was wrong. But the excitement outweighed my guilt, so I ignored my better judgment. And this is why the guys that bring the girl the tingles the way she feels will always beat the guys that are good men, stable providers, loyal, all those things. However, by sheer chance, James found out about us. He was visiting and I felt nervous. So I forgot my laptop was open. It was open in the living room while I went to the bathroom. Barry and I had been messaging each other, and James saw everything. When I came out, James was still reading the messages. The look on his face is something I'll never forget. Yeah, he was betrayed. He was heartbroken. He thought he had a great girl. Wrong. There was so much hurt in his eyes, he just asked me, "You're cheating on me?" And I didn't know what to say. I just started crying, and he knew what that meant. "I'm so sorry. It was a mistake." Bullshit. See? The tears. Unleash the waterworks. Because hopefully the waterworks will work on this guy. He pulled out an engagement ring and said, "I came to give you this because I thought it's what you wanted." I couldn't even look at it. Then he put it back in his pocket and walked out. Well, good for James. Well, you fucked up royally, didn't you, honey? Maybe he was just going through a bad time and he was going to then eventually go into law school or something else. Who knows? Gee, do you think it worked out with Barry? Mr. Barry? We'll see. I knew I messed up, so I sent James a long explanation. Messed up? That's not a mess up. That is well-calculated planning and cheating. You could have just broken up with him and at least had some integrity. He didn't respond. Instead, he blocked me. I tried to visit him, but he wouldn't answer the door. He doesn't want to see you. I even waited for him to leave, but when he saw me, he walked on by as if I didn't exist. I never realized he could become so cold to me. Well, good for him. You deserve it. You're not getting any sympathy from me. And you are most certainly not going to get any sympathy from probably the 1,000 or 2,000 dudes that are going to comment on this video. Eventually, I convinced myself things were as they should be and went back to Barry. Yeah, how'd that work out for you? But Barry did not want a relationship. He treated me like a side piece he could use whenever he wanted. Well, you were a side piece. You behaved like a side piece. You were cheating on your good boyfriend who was about to propose to you. You don't tell me you couldn't have seen that coming. You know, you act like a WHORE, you're going to get treated like that. You got what you deserve. I feel ashamed to admit it. I went along with it because I was so vulnerable. Don't give me this crap that you were vulnerable. You put yourself in this position. You put yourself in a lot of positions that got you where you are. For the first time, I found myself chasing a man for no reason, other than because I wanted his approval. See? This is how the bad boys make out. The gals are chasing the bad boys' validation. And that's why the bad boys usually get whatever they want. They own her mind. I felt disgusted with myself. Fast forward in time, I'm now 33 years old, and I'm no longer with Barry. Well, no kidding. He found somebody who was younger. In fact, I haven't seen him in years. I work as a paralegal now, and often daydream James will walk through the door as a new hire. Then we can start over, but that's unlikely considering James left town years ago. I know because for a while I followed his LinkedIn using a different name. Stalker. As far as I know, he's practicing law on the East Coast. So there you go. He then went and took the LSAT, went to law school, and now he's a lawyer. You fucked up. Although I wonder if he's with someone or not, as for me, I've been unable to connect with anyone on the same level. There are days I think I should go find him before too much time passes and we'll miss the window of opportunity. He doesn't want to see you. After all, we did have something special. Yeah, and you fucked it all up. At the same time, I'm not stupid. I know I have no right to intervene in his life. I know he deserves happiness. Yeah, and he ain't gonna have that with you, because you'll do the same fucking thing again when you get bored. But I can't help but thinking he needs me. Are you fucking delusional? Are you off your meds? So why can't we be together? It's been an ongoing debate for me for years. One day I tell myself I'm going, the next day I convince myself not to go. I don't know what I should do, so I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart whether I should take this chance. The end. Oh, for goodness sake. I'm going to be blunt with you. It's over. You made your bed, you have to lie in it. Period. Okay? Now, you had the guts to write in to me knowing darn well I'm going to react as well as how my audience is definitely going to react. So I'm going to say this. If you want to do anything that is remotely good in this world after he messed things up royally with him, you leave him alone. You forget about him and move on. Notice he hasn't reached out to you since. Why? Because he wants nothing to do with you. You're 33 now, you met him when you were 26, so you said that happened after 3 years, so this went on when you're around 20. So 4 years ago, you broke up, give or take. Yeah, you fucked up, and you got no one to blame but yourself. You had yourself a great guy. Oh, and notice that, remember, guys, when he was on his grind and everything, he met her studying for the LSAT. He was busting his tail studying because it takes a lot of studying for that to get the best score. He started spending time with her. He didn't get the score he wanted, and then he kind of was in a stagnant place, But still, a good girlfriend would have worked through him instead of just getting bored. Now he's not going to law school, so I don't want him anymore. Well, maybe that you doing what you did gave him the motivation to go back and go to law school. Take that test, study for it, get a high score, go to law school, and that was like revenge. Nothing like success being the best revenge. But anyhow, good for him for ending it with you. Good for him for blocking you and having nothing to do with you and going on to becoming a lawyer. I hope he becomes a divorce attorney. How great would that be? But anyhow, back to you. Leave him alone. Never reach out to him. Leave him alone. That's how you can do something better. And that's how you can, you had a great thing going and you fucked it all up. Because you got bored, because you missed the tingles, the excitement. Okay, a lot of women do the same thing, and then here you are at 33 years old. Your prime has gone bye-bye. I'm sure you're probably still good looking, but it's not as easy for you to get guys to commit now, and you're in your early 30s. And frankly, I told you, obviously you may have been good looking, attractive on the outside, but the inside you were rotten. And now you're not as physically appealing as you were when you were younger. So here you are. If you were a nice person and a loyal, loving gal, it wouldn't make a difference if the looks started to fade in time, because all our looks fade in time, including guys. But if you have something good about yourself, that's something to offer. You didn't, and you don't. So leave the guy hell alone, and you need to really do some soul searching here as to why, you ruined a whole thing with a guy. I don't know why you wrote into me today. Maybe in some level you're doing it to you feel like you deserve the punishment of me telling you reality, But the best thing you can do is really understand why you did what you did and start leading a better life as a more decent, honest human being. And eventually you're going to meet a guy, and when you're with that guy, and then you feel like things aren't going anywhere, it's getting stale or stagnant, you break up with him. Even if it hurts him, you break up with him instead of cheating on him, keeping him on layaway, and monkey branch to the next guy. But guys, as you can see here, she's now in her early 30s. Life hasn't gone the way she wanted, so she's been spending all this time thinking about the guy that got away, even though she's the one that pushed him away. Okay? She's contemplating going back to him. She's been doing it for years. And she's asking my permission to do that. And no, she should not do that. They always come back when their life has turned to dog crap. Believe me, guys, if she met another guy that was a lawyer or a doctor or a tech guy or an entrepreneur, some guy that could provide, do you think she'd be thinking about this guy here? No. No fucking way. Because she would have what she wanted. But her life is not where she wants to be. She's unhappy and all that. So I'll call you Jessica. Jessica, you can either learn from your mistake and what you did and hurting that guy and not being where you want to be, or you can keep doing the same thing over and over again and being a vicious cycle. For the sake of the world, I hope you learn from your mistake. You learn from this video here with me telling you how it is. You knew I was going to react, so I'm reacting exactly as you expected me to. And you can make some changes about yourself. or you can keep behaving in the same way that you were. And not to mention the fact that clearly you had a bit of an ego about yourself of what you had to offer back in the day. You probably, a lot of gals still, I'm sure you probably still do on some level. Although deep down you know it's not as easy for you to get guys like you used to, you know? So hopefully you have a dose of reality and become a much more humble person and better person. Someone with integrity that doesn't behave in the way they did. Or you keep doing what you're doing, you know? So there you go, guys. I thought it'd be a good one to go over here. You can see exactly what it's like from the other side. And no, I don't feel bad for her. As I don't feel bad for all the other gals out there. And again, this is the gal that found my channel and thought that I'm toxic. And my material's toxic. My channel is to help guys avoid women like her. How is that toxic? I'm helping guys out there. I'm helping guys like James who got burned by her and hurt. You think he's ever going to be the same? No. And if that's what it takes to motivate him to go through law school and do well in life, and I hope James is doing great nowadays, wherever he may be. Maybe he has a great wife nowadays that doesn't treat him that way, I hope. So, no, I'm not toxic, but people naturally think that in the beginning because I say things they don't want to hear. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this girl know what you think. Do you think that she should reach out to James? Do you think that James needs her or something like that? I want to hear what you think. Now, watch what you say. We don't want to get me in trouble on YouTube here, but you can respond accordingly. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.